It was a little past midnight, and the road stretched ahead like a dark ribbon, empty except for the occasional flicker of streetlights. I had driven this road 100 times before. Same turns, same landmarks, same quiet nothingness. The hum of my engine was the only sound in the night, and the familiar rhythm should have been comforting. But then, flashing red and blue lights erupted in my rearview mirror. My first thought? Speeding. I instinctively glanced at the speedometer. Nope. Well, within the limit. Maybe a broken taillight? Missed a stop sign? I wasn't sure, but I knew the drill. Slow down signal. Pull over. As I eased my car to the side, something gnawed at me. The cruiser behind me didn't have a traditional police spotlight, just the flashing lights. And the way it approached, it wasn't as steady as a real patrol car, more like someone hesitant, almost unsure. I took a deep breath, trying to brush off the unease creeping into my chest. It's just a routine stop. Stay calm. But as I reached for my wallet, my gut whispered a warning. Something about this doesn't feel right. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. And while you're at it, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. All right, let's keep going. The moment they stepped out of their car, I knew something was off. Real cops have a certain way of carrying themselves. Calm, authoritative, professional. These guys? They moved too fast, too aggressive, like they were trying to establish control. Before I even had a chance to process what was happening, the first one reached my window before I could even roll it down all the way. He wasn't wearing a standard police uniform, just a dark jacket, pants, and what looked like a badge clipped to his belt, but something about it didn't sit right. No name tag, no department insignia, license and registration, he barked, his voice sharp, impatient. I nodded, but as I reached for my glove compartment, I couldn't help but notice the second guy standing a few feet behind him. He wasn't saying a word, just lingering near the rear of my car, one hand resting near his waist, right where a weapon would be. That was red flag number 2. "Can I ask what this is about?" I said, keeping my voice steady. The first guy barely looked at me. "Routine stop, just need to see your ID." Routine stop? I'd been pulled over before, and this was not how it went. No explanation of an infraction, no greeting, no small talk, just straight to business like they were in a hurry. And then the questions started getting weird. "You live around here? Where you headed? You driving alone?" That last one made my stomach tighten. That's not something cops ask. That's something a predator asks. I swallowed hard, gripping my steering wheel as my pulse kicked up a notch. Something wasn't right, and I had a feeling that whatever this was, it had nothing to do with a traffic violation. My fingers hovered over my wallet, but I hesitated. My brain was working overtime, piecing things together, and the more I thought about it, the worse it got. Where's their patrol car? I glanced at my side mirror. The vehicle behind me had flashing lights, sure, but there were no markings, no police decals, no visible unit number, just a dark, unremarkable sedan with strobes slapped on top. That wasn't standard. Not even close. The first guy cleared his throat impatiently. "License and registration now." I looked at him again, really looked this time. No name tag, no radio, no visible badge number. Just that cheap-looking clip-on badge that could have come from a gas station. They never even introduced themselves. Every cop I'd ever interacted with followed a protocol. "Good evening, sir. Do you know why I pulled you over?" That's how it always started. These guys? Nothing. Just demands. I forced myself to stay calm, but my instincts were screaming. I had 2 choices: comply and hope for the best, or push back and risk escalating whatever this was. "Can I see some ID?" I asked, keeping my voice even. The guy's jaw tightened. "Excuse me?" I gestured to his belt. "Your badge. Can I see it up close?" For a split second he just stared at me. No reaction, no movement, just that tense, uncomfortable silence. That told me everything I needed to know. The second guy shifted his stance, his hand still hovering near his waist. I swallowed hard, my heartbeat hammering in my ears. This wasn't a traffic stop, this was something else, and I had no idea how far they were willing to take it. I took a slow breath, forcing myself to stay calm. If these guys were fake, I needed to be smart about this. Push too hard, and I could provoke them. Play it dumb, and I could end up in real trouble. All right, I said, nodding like I was cooperating. I just want to make sure everything's good. Can I get your badge numbers? The lead guy's eyes flickered with irritation. Don't worry about that, just hand over your license. Wrong answer. Real cops always provide their badge numbers if asked. I tilted my head. Which precinct are you guys out of? Another pause. He glanced at his partner. Just for a second, but I caught it. They weren't on the same page. The second guy shifted uncomfortably. Just give us your ID, man. Don't make this complicated. Complicated? It was a routine stop, wasn't it? I decided to push one more time, just enough to rattle them. I have a cousin on the force. Maybe? I should call him real quick just to confirm? That did it. The lead guy's jaw clenched. The second guy took a half step back, eyes darting toward their car. That's when I saw it. The mistake. On his belt tucked under his jacket, I caught a glimpse of a holster. No police-issued firearm. It looked like a cheap off-brand pistol, something you'd get from a pawn shop. Real cops never carry unauthorized weapons. My stomach dropped. These guys weren't just fake, they were armed, and now they knew I was onto them. I exhaled slowly, keeping my hands steady as I reached into my wallet. If these guys were looking for an easy target, I had to make them second-guess everything. All right, I said, pulling out my ID. Here you go. I handed it over, watching closely as the lead guy took it. His fingers barely wrapped around the edge before he froze. His eyes flicked down, scanning the card. The second guy leaned in for a look. Silence. Then, a subtle shift. The confidence in their stance? Gone. See, most people carry a regular driver's license. Mine wasn't. It was a federal ID, the kind that doesn't just belong to your average civilian. The kind that carries weight. The lead guy's throat bobbed as he swallowed. His grip on my ID tightened, like he wasn't sure whether to hand it back or pretend he hadn't seen it. He forced a cough, trying to keep his composure. I cut him off. Is there a problem, officer? I made sure to stress that last word. His jaw twitched. His partner took a half step back, like a guy realizing he might have just walked into something way bigger than he was ready for. I could see it in their faces now. They weren't expecting this. They thought they were stopping some random person on the road, someone who would panic, comply, hand over whatever they wanted, not someone with credentials that could flip the script entirely. I held out my hand. I'll be needing that back. For a second, the lead guy just stood there, gripping my ID like it was burning a hole in his hand. Then, without a word, he flipped it over and shoved it back toward me. His fingers twitched. They were deciding what to do next, and I had a sinking feeling that letting me drive away wasn't part of their original plan. The air between us had shifted. The fake cop who had taken my ID wasn't meeting my eyes anymore. His fingers twitched slightly, like he was weighing his next move. The second guy? He looked ready to bolt. Then just like that, the lead guy cleared his throat. All right, he muttered, forcing a casual shrug. Looks like everything checks out. You're free to go. Free to go. Real cops don't just drop a stop like that, especially not after acting that aggressive. No warning, no citation, not even a drive safe. They were bailing. The lead guy took a step back, nudging his partner subtly toward their car. That's when I knew. They were running. Not a chance. I kept my face neutral, but my pulse was hammering. They were criminals, armed, and they'd almost pulled it off. If I let them leave, they'd try this again, maybe on someone who wouldn't. Question them. My fingers moved quickly to my phone, already dialing. Jet 121. The second guy saw it first. Yo, let's go, he hissed, yanking the car door open. I took a step back but kept my voice calm. You sure you don't want to stick around? I asked. Might want to explain yourselves to the real cops. The lead guy cursed under his breath, eyes darting toward my phone. He wasn't even pretending anymore. He knew. Ring ring. The dispatcher picked up. 911, what's your emergency? I spoke loud enough for them to hear. I'm being pulled over by two men impersonating police officers. They're trying to leave the scene. That did it. Go, go! The second guy shouted. The IDOR car screeched as they threw it into gear. tires kicking up gravel as they peeled out onto the road, but I wasn't done yet. I turned, locking onto their plates, memorizing every letter and number, because no matter how fast they ran, this wasn't over. I barely had time to catch my breath before I heard it, sirens, growing louder by the second. They were coming. The fake cops had made it maybe a quarter-mile down the road before flashing red and blue real police lights filled the night, multiple units. They had no chance. The moment their car was cut off, they slammed the brakes. Doors flew open, guns drawn. "Step out of the vehicle. Hands where?" "We can see them." The two men hesitated. For a second, I thought they'd be stupid enough to run, but they weren't getting out of this. Slowly, their doors opened and they stepped out, hands raised. I pulled forward slightly, still on the line with dispatch. "They got them," I breathed. A real officer approached me cautiously. "Sir, stay in your vehicle for now." I nodded, but my eyes never left the scene. One of the fakes tried talking his way out of it. "This is a misunderstanding," he said quickly, his voice shaking just enough to betray him. "We were just conducting a stop." "Save it," one of the real officers snapped. "You're not cops." The lead fake licked his lips. "We never claimed—" "You want to explain the fake badge, the unmarked car, the fact that you ran?" Silence. Then, as the officers moved in, patting them down, one of them found something that made my blood run cold. A pair of zip ties, a roll of duct tape. I felt sick. These guys weren't just looking to scam someone. They had a plan. The reality hit me like a punch to the gut. If I hadn't questioned them, if I had just gone along with it, where would I be right now? One of the officers turned toward me. "You did the right thing calling us. These guys have been at it for weeks. Weeks." My stomach tightened. That meant I wasn't the first person they had stopped. But now, I'd made sure I was the last. I sat in my car, engine still running, hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles had gone white. The flashing lights of the real police cars cast eerie shadows across the pavement, but all I could focus on was the pounding in my chest. It was over, but the what-ifs wouldn't stop racing through my mind. What if I hadn't noticed the missing badges? What if I had just handed over my wallet without question? What if they had been more aggressive? What if they had forced me out of my car? I swallowed hard, pushing those thoughts away. They didn't matter now. I had seen the signs. I had trusted my gut. And that's what had saved me. One of the officers walked back to my window, his expression grim. "You good?" I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Yeah, I think so." "You did everything right," he said. "A lot of people don't. That's how these guys get away with it." That sent a chill down my spine. I wasn't the only one they had stopped. How many others had they tricked? And worse, how many hadn't made it out safely? The officer gave me a small nod. "We'll handle it from here. Get home safe." I nodded back, put my car in gear, and pulled away, watching the flashing lights fade in my rearview mirror. As I drove, the night felt different. Darker, heavier. The world wasn't as safe as I had thought, but one thing was clear. I'd never ignore my instincts again. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, share it with friends, and subscribe for more awesome content. Don't forget to tap the bell icon to stay updated. And let me know in the comments, where are you watching from? Your support means the world.